Hi everybody, it's Amanda from timeoftravelhypnosis.com. I normally put out a channeling on Mondays, but today I cannot do it. I just can't do it. I guess I've been sitting in meditation for an hour every day this week. I'm just having trouble getting to the right state to make sure that what I'm channeling is how do you say, the right frequency is coming through. So I am getting messages through, but it's like I'm having trouble controlling it. It comes through when my vibration is up, but I'm not expecting it. So some of the messages I've been getting, well, this week has been hard for some. There's a group of us that it's been a hard week. Or a hard past few weeks. And the message that I was getting that I keep hearing repeated over and over in my mind is the only way out is through. So there's no solution. We just have to go through it, experience it. Maybe not for everybody. Seems to be true for me. This is what I'm getting. And then this morning, 4:30 in the morning, I woke up to smelling a fire burning. Like I smelled something on fire. And it woke me up. And then I didn't smell it anymore. I mean, I smelled it for a second and then it went away. So, I was paranoid that something in my house is on fire. We don't have a wood-burning fireplace or a wood stove or anything, so there's no reason for that smell to be happening. We don't have neighbors nearby with chimneys. Windows aren't open or anything like that. So that was unusual. And then I thought I smelled burning plastic for a second. So that kind of scared me. And I was thinking about maybe our heating system or something. There's something wrong with it. So that was interesting. I don't know what that's about. But then I was thinking while I was getting ready this morning about what would possibly come through in the channeling. And usually I used to try to guide it by asking a question, but then they would weave in whatever they wanted to get across with whatever I had a question about. So it turned into this, it'd always be this really complex thing that started out with answering my question, but turned into some greater lesson, which is kind of cool. But I decided to just let them, at some point I just decided I'm just going to be open and let them, get whatever message across that most of the people that will be listening will benefit from. So I tried to do that this morning. And anyway, before that, I just feel like they're getting things through to me wherever they can, and it's not necessarily when I'm trying to record. So one of the images that they sent this morning in response to me thinking about like this space of feeling like it feels kind of destructive. It feels like this destructive energy, and maybe that's why I'm smelling fire. Fire's destructive, but it's also clearing. It clears things, More on that in a second. Anyway, so they sent me this image of Tunguska or whatever that thing that happened in 1908 where, I don't know how many miles of forest were just leveled in a big circle. Like there was some kind of explosion or something above the surface and it just leveled everything. And I was just seeing this wave of destruction just coming, this just cloud just blowing through and just destroying everything. And that was the image they sent. I'm like, great. That's nice. But that's kind of where I'm at. I'm in this clearing wave just came through. But then the message that I channeled, which I don't like and I'm not going to post, was all talking about how you can benefit by the destruction, which sounds awful. And I'm just afraid people are not going to understand because half the message came through before I could even push record on the thing. I wasn't ready for it. And it was like this download and I couldn't catch up. I couldn't catch up to record it. So it didn't come out the way I'd hoped. But they were talking about, you know, when you have an injury, when you hurt yourself, you realize how much you took for granted the ability to like move in certain ways or function in certain ways. And so, you know, even when you lose somebody to death, somebody dies that you love, then you know, ideally you would say, I really need to start living. You know, that person's not here to continue and do all the things, you know, I can do all the things. I'm still alive. And we don't really do that. And so I think the message they were trying to get across is, you know, even when something bad happens, you have a loss or there's a death or an injury or something, it can make you look around and say, okay, well, when I'm going through this, but when I recover from this, I'm going to look at things differently. I'm going to appreciate, you know, in the opposite way of what I'm feeling now. So if you're grieving a loss, then maybe there's some areas in your life where you weren't truly giving, that you could give more. So that was the basic message. They, you know, it comes through in so eloquent a way, and words just can't even express it. So it's hard sometimes to channel, because I have to stay lucid enough to make sure they finish sentences. You know, like, because they're so complex. You know, they start a sentence and then there's another, you know, they want to clarify something within the sentence, and then they, you know, and I have to go, wait a minute, did you finish that sentence? You know, I have to be conscious enough to make sure it makes sense, but not conscious enough to alter anything that they say. It's very complex. Anyway, so that's where I'm at, and that's, I'm not past the, I'm a little too low vibration for my liking. That's what I'm going to say. And I feel like that will clear, but for now, I think the point is to sit with it and, you know, sit with it and feel it and experience it and look around at the things, that was, causing maybe a, lack of focus on the other areas of my life where I wanted some things that I just haven't stood up and said I wanted. I just let them go because, you know, if I have at least one thing to focus on that's good, I just let everything else go. And in this way, I can look around now and clear up some, look around and say, you know, I've never really liked that. Why am I doing that? Why is that happening that way? It doesn't have to be that way. Let's, oh, that was the other message they sent. Time to rebuild. So it was like Tunguska and recovery, sitting with the mystery of it and like, why did that happen? And that's insane. And nobody knows what's going on. And I can't talk to anybody about this because nobody else is going to understand it. And like, nobody knows what's going on. So you sit with that for a while and then you just rebuild. I mean, they didn't rebuild there. So that's kind of not the best metaphor or analogy, but you know what I'm saying. So time to rebuild was the other thing. Stuff gets burned down, stuff gets lost, and you just have to go through it because that's life. I was listening to somebody new this morning, and I'm so sad that I can't remember her name. But she said, I'll try to link her in the description if I can, but she said, what was the phrase? Changeaholic. She said you have to be a changeaholic because that's what life is all about. It's about change. And I've never been a fan of change. Change is like the opposite of the stability that most of us crave. But I like that idea of learning to be a changeaholic. Get addicted to the fact that nothing's ever going to stay the same and things are going to change. But that can be to your benefit too, because if you're in a bad spot, it's not going to stay that way forever. It'll get better. You'll have good times ahead too. So Anyway, blah, blah, blah. 10 minutes of just talking instead of channeling. But I had to explain. I just couldn't, I can't publish the channeling. It just wasn't, it didn't come through with the clarity that I hope for. So we'll try again next week. And I hope that all of you are doing well. I hear astrologically that it's going to be a good week, especially starting Wednesday. Things will be lighter. I hope that's true. Looking forward to it, and I hope you're all okay. Much love, and have a great week. Bye.